present here, Julie Tumwine and your family, the bishops and the clergy who are here today, relatives of Eli Tumwine, friends and all people of goodwill present here. Today, we gather together, first of all, to thank God for Eli's life. And we come together to bring our heartfelt condolences also to the family of Eli Tumwine and to stand with them in this hour of grief for having lost a loved one. The NRM and UPDF family celebrate the life of Eli Tumwine for his outstanding service among the leaders of officers and men of our distinguished force of UPDF. And for the family of Eli Tumwine, I know that there is nothing that can comfort you or fill the gap that Tumwine has left behind in your family, having been the head of that family. And your husband is to Jolie. I believe I can say that I understand the emptiness of that experience because I lost my own father when I was only 7 years old. And I know the insecurity of a home without a father. But since I found Jesus, I know that there is a Father who will never die. And I'm so grateful to him that Tumwine's children have testified with their words there that they know that Father who will never die. That has been my faith foundation and my strength, having met that Father who can never die, who is with you 24/7, who promises that he will never leave you nor forsake you. He's the one who can fill that gap and also provide the security that is real and can be trusted and can only come from him. I'm happy to know that you know that Father Jolie, and I'm confident that if you stick with that Father, I have no doubt in my mind that you will find the peace that only he can give. And I'm happy to have listened to your children and to your son, who used his own father's words that you will manage. I have no doubt in my mind that you will manage because of that Father I'm talking about, who you all know. Otherwise, I will repeat the words that many have said here that come from Timothy 2, chapter 2, verse 4-7, that says that Tumwine, in quotes, he has fought a good fight, he has finished his race, and he kept the faith. The Bible says that there is a crown of righteousness which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give to all those on that day who loved his appearing. That is the only comfort we can all give you, Jole and your family. And they remind you that Tumwine is now in a better place. That will give you some comfort and some happiness. We all hope, as Mugume said, to go to that place someday, each in our own time. And we know that we will miss Tumwine, all of us seated here, but we believe that he has gone to a better place. And we're grateful that he has achieved his mission, as many of you have testified. Mukama gumene imwe, kandi ate niwe yabagumya abaheereza obusinja obw'ensi eteine, kandi n'omwesigwa nemwe omumwesige mwebale kumpurikiza. Thank you.
Thank you, Mama. Let me now take this singular honor and privilege to invite His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, and the Chief Mourner today to deliver his eulogy. Your Excellency, sir.
His Lordship, the Chief Justice, Right Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, Ministers, Members of Parliament, the bereaved family, members of UPDF, members of the Diplomatic Corps, n'abakungu bazimwena abaze okukungubaga. First of all, I express on behalf of the NRM, of the UPDF, of the country, condolences to the family of General Tumwine, to the widow, to the children, and to the family members. Accept our heartfelt condolences. Secondly, unfortunately, we have also lost some other people. We lost one of our traditional chiefs in Busoga, Gorogoro, who was the chief of Chiguru. They told me about him the other day. We have also lost the Honorable Yona Kanyomozi, who was a minister in the UPC government, but between 1971 79, he was one of our contacts in Nairobi. He was not a fighter, but he was a contact. I used to pass by his office in ex-Telecom House in Nairobi. So I asked the mourners to stand up and observe a moment of silence for the late Yona Kanyomozi, whom I came to know this morning as I was coming here, and Gorogoro. May the Almighty God rest their souls in eternal peace.
Amen.
The year was 1967. I think it must have been the month of March. I had finished A-level in 1966, end of year. And in those days, there was a shortage of teachers. So whenever students finished S4 or S6, they would be offered jobs to teach, pending going to further studies later. The university those days would start in July. So you had time to teach from end of January up to the beginning of July. I had therefore got a teaching job. Initially, I went to Rukoni because I had already started my activism. Our activism, we were a group. It was not just me, we were quite a number. Our activism of wanting to cause socio-economic change among the traditional society. I hear some people calling those people peasants. Those people are not peasants. Some of them are actually rich, but they were still living in the traditional way of korra echida kyonka, working only for the stomach. That was the problem. Teach me each keken, as we say in Luo. So I had wanted to I went to Rukoni. I was posted there by the education officers who were in Mbarara. Somebody called Kitandwe posted me there, Rukoni. I'm the one who asked me to go to Rukoni because I had wanted to go and work among those people. But when I go there, they were not enthusiastic. They were quite laid back. So I went back to the education office in Mbarara, and I found Nyanda there, Mzee Nyanda. He died recently. I said, I want you to send me to Nyabushozi to teach there. Nyanda said, Nyabushozi is very far. Will you manage Nyabushozi? It's very far. Then he looked on the map at the wall, said there was one position at Chinoni of Gempehe. But it has been taken by somebody else. Now the only position which is there is in Burunga. Burunga is very far. You will not manage it. I said, that's why I want to go. Where people don't go, that's why I want to go. And indeed, Burunga is quite far from Barara. It is 90 miles. You can imagine, like from Kampala here to Bujiri, where would you get 90 miles? Igang is 75. It must be like Bujiri. That's how far it is. So I said, no, I want to go there. So he posted me there. It must have been March, because I had spent a month at Rukoni. Now, when I got there, I found these people actually were semi-traditional. They were not as traditional as the ones of Rukoni, because some of the Rukoni were still Bakafiri. had not joined the modern religion. But these ones of Burunga, as Enos Museveni was saying, many of them were Barokore, were church people, church and born again, but they had no idea about income generation. Very little, very, no clear way of how to become a modern society. And that was our mission. Of course, we had a little bit of, when I come to churches, I always listen to the messages, which I partially share, not wholly. Even that time we had those mixed messages, because some of those Warokore were saying, here we are visitors on earth. Almost abagenyi. Ekayito yorobera yentura ryumwiguru. Our permanent home is in heaven. That's all right. Then, ebyensi no mushenyi. Worldly things are like they think the Wanyankore think mushenyi is useless. Actually, it's very useful mushenyi. So you can see how confused they are. But for them, mushenyi means something useless. The real gifts are in heaven. So, what do we do? Like my late father, Mzee Kaguta, died when he was 97. Now, to get a visitor of 97 years, he's just a visitor waiting to go to heaven. Actually, I was a member of the Scripture Union, but those were some of the reasons why I withdrew from the Scripture Union and stood aside. So, but I will say something about that later. So when I went to teach, that's where I found these young people. Tumwine, Enos there, others, they're also there. There are quite a number of others, but they were there. So I was teaching them, but I was also interested in the society, how to change that, and I tried to tell them about this. It's a long story, but that's how I came to, and this Tumwine actually one day followed me. I spent a night at one of the younger people called Bwandanda. He was somewhere there towards the river. And I was telling him about socio-economic transformation, commercial farming, doing commercial farming with H1. The message we are giving now, this PDM, Parish Development Model, that's what we are telling them. So that's where I saw Tumwine as a student. I think it was like in P7. I think Enos was in P6 or something like that. There was a brother of Enos called Enoka. They were quite, and other young people. So that's how I first saw Tumwine. And Tumwine followed me at Wandanda's place. He told me later that he had me, I didn't remember, but he told me that he had me preaching to this Wandanda man about socio-economic transformation. Now, much later, 1979, when we captured Mbarara, you heard how we started recruiting that big number of recruits, 9,000 of them, whom we recruited in that area. And Tumwine was one of them. And then we said, people who have finished O level and above can go for officer cadet school in Monduli, in Tanzania. The ones from Fronasa, the ones from Moboti's group, Chikos Marum, but I think they also included the new recruits. That's how the Katumbas joined, who are not part of Fronasa or Chikos Marum. So they went to Monduli, 300 of them. And then other people went to Jinja for senior NCO course. People like General Ivan Koreta and General Sare, they went for senior NCO course. Then they were also commissioned when they came out. Now, our politics was not settled, so we had to now prepare for a new fight. Because our partners of UPC were playing games, they didn't know they didn't care what had happened in the years of Amin. They wanted to start again. We warned them, I don't know what they thought. Then we started planning for a new fight to really see how to rescue this country, because life was so insecure. People were, it was heading towards the darkness, where people didn't care about life. Now, when we attacked, now that attack of Kabamba, and I don't know how I will link up with the church people so that we can talk the same language. I don't know whether I will write a small document. You see, my experience, I have seen two things. First, and I keep telling Mama, because in the book of Genesis, God created us, you remember on Saturday, that gentleman Adam, you remember that Adam? Created him on Saturday, and his wife, I think a few hours later. He created Adam in the image of God, and he gave him the mandate. In the book of Genesis it says, to establish dominion over nature. You are not just a creature, you are not like the cow, you are not like the goat, you are not like the pig. You are created in my own image of God. And I command you to establish dominion over nature. That is really but when you do whatever you do it for the glory of God and for the benefit of man. And when Jesus came, he repeated this. I don't know why the religious people don't bring it out. He said, love God with all your heart, with all your might, the two summary of the commandments. And love your neighbor as you love yourself. So God and neighbor. And the mandate to establish dominion of nature. In our NRM language, we say taming nature, to tame nature. Now, these walls of ours, you can really see the two sides. And even our traditional people, they say, Rubare mbera, nembe rokotadde. Now, that attack, we talk of the attack of the 6th of February, where Tumwine fired the first shot. That journey, you could see the hand of God and the efforts of man together. Because the plan was, we drove from here in the evening of the 5th in a lorry with the fighters in the back of the lorry with the Tumwine like bananas. And the plan was because we had internal collaborators within the barracks, get to the quarter guard, the gate, and deceive the gate man. And Tumwine was in front. Tumwine was in front because he was an officer with the Nyota. To say, we are bringing supplies to you people from the headquarters. Then from the quarter guard, drive, recently my daughter who is very much interested, Natasha, I told her to go and measure the distance. And she measured it, I think it is 400 and something meters. So that we deceive the gate man that we are bringing supplies and he allows us through. But a small car with some Magara and a few people drives past and enters this underground armory. This armory is concrete, it is underground. Because what we wanted were guns. Maybe there I should tell you something else. Because I'm trying to summarize the wrong story, but I want to know you to know more about, because Tumwine is here, we may not get another chance. Because by the time Amin fell, on the 11th of April, we had a big force there in Barra of 9,000 people, including the Tumwines, armed already. So when Amin fell, then we had to form one army with the Obotes, Obote Chikos Marum, other groups. So we had to surrender our guns to the new army. UNLA, Uganda National Liberation Army. Now, some of my people, led by Otafwire, and that's why I want you that's why I want you to know about God. Led by Otafwire, they said, we should not hand in all our guns. Because Tomanya, these UPCs may turn against us. So we should hide like 2,000 guns, hide them somewhere for the rainy day. I rejected that. It was a big struggle. I rejected that. I said, this is terrible. How can I be a member of the Uganda National Liberation Front, a member also vice chairman of the military commission, and I take part in hiding guns and saying we have handed all the guns when we have not. This is terrible. God does not like it. Principals don't like it. And also strategically, it is very risky because suppose it leaks now. Who will ever trust us again? So both spiritually, morally, and strategically, it is a mistake. So I rejected Otafuire's idea. It was a big struggle because he had a constituency who were in his right that we should hide some guns. So when the UPC, in their foolishness, stand against us, again, like the Tafuiras were saying that they would betray us, now we had the problem how to get our guns again. So, but these army officers of ours who had joined the joint army, they knew where these guns were. One big cache was at Kabamba. Then the other one was at Masindi. Then there was Mubende. Then there was Nakasongora. So when we analyzed, we found it was easier to capture the guns at Kabamba. And that was the whole operation. Come with 2 cars, two vehicles, a lorry with the force in the back, a pickup with some Magara and a few other people. Tumwine engages the people at the quarter guard in a friendly way. When while the pickup passes and enters the underground, and we timed to attack at 8 a.m. in the morning. Why did we time 8 a.m.? Because first of all, there was a very big force there of trainees by the Tanzanians. I think there were like 2,000 being trained. But we knew that by 8 o'clock they would have gone away to train. They would not be in the barracks. That was number one. But number two, the armory would be open. The armory people would be cleaning and so on and so forth. So the idea was, we come, the fighting group is in the back of the lorry. I think the lorry was being driven by Rutaya. I think it was Rutaya was driving that lorry, and Rutaya. Then the pickup of Magara bypasses, enters the armory by surprise, and then we get the guns and load them. So, problem number one, and I will show you people who don't believe in God, or who believe in him in some modified way. The first problem, we had now arranged that the lorry goes ahead. I stay behind with some Magara. We drive later in Magara's pickup and catch up with them before Kabamba to park and wait for the morning, because we're going to attack in the morning. We went following the lorry, past Masaka. At Katugondo, we had passed Katugondo a little bit. The tire burst of Magara's pickup. It was being driven by a man called Rutarago. I think Rutarago is a big man now. I charged him, but he defended himself. So when the tire burst, I thought they had a spare tire. The people did not have a spare tire. So what do we do? This is now like It was like 9 o'clock in the night. We tried to knock at, we could see there were lights in houses. We tried to knock to help. They refused to open because they were fearing. So I had now to walk back from Katugondo to Nyendo on foot. When I got to Nyendo, I told, I had money, I hired a taxi. They took me to Riondo. Do you remember Riondo? Riondo, he was the town clerk of Masaka, the father of Lumumba. You can see how God was in all this, because all this could have misfired, could have. Fortunately, I find Riondo there. I tell him a lie. I think Christianity allows lies. for good purposes. I told Riondo a lie that I was going for a wedding in Zimbabwe. The car has had a problem. Could he lend me his car? Because they were going to waiting. Riondo gave me his, there were vehicles called Peugeot 304. Gave it to me. I drove, got to, now Rutarago says, me, I thought I had gone back alone. But Rutarago says we went back together. That one I don't remember. But anyway, we went where the pickup was. I think we left Rutarago there, and Magara and myself now drove and found our lorry parked at a junction called Rumejere. There's a junction, Rumejere, there's where you go to, I think Rumiyaga, the lorry was parked there, and people didn't know what was happening. They were worried. So we caught up with them. We drove up to Makori and waited for morning to come. Now I had to sit in the back, in the Tundubari, because I was a bit well known. I had been a minister and so on. So these soldiers would have suspected me. So that's why Tumwine sat in front to deceive the quarter guard man, and we go. So that first firing actually was a mistake. When Tumwine fired, it was a mistake. He should not have fired. And even people were a bit angry with him. Because when the lorry stopped at the quarter guard, me, I was in the back. I had the vehicle of Magara passing, going to the drive-in. Then I had a shot. So when Tumwine fired, there was a Tanzanian corporal who was near the armory. He had the shot. He saw Magara's vehicle rushing. He went inside the armory and got a machine gun. So by the time the group went there, the man was already in, and this is a concrete bunker. So after we were blaming Tumwine that he had panicked. He should not have fired. He should have wrestled with the man physically until we had entered the armory. But this is where I want you people to know, you non-believers. Actually, this was God who did this. God used Tumwine to fire by mistake, actually. But it was God's plan. Why? So anyway, to cut a long story short, when the Tanzanians got in the armory, our people could not get in. So the big guns which were there, we could not get them. They briefed me. I remained here at the quarter guard. They briefed me. They went in the houses, captured vehicles, captured guns which were in the houses. And I decided that now let's move on. Because if we stay here, the government army may counterattack. So we got like 8 lorries, drove and put in some of our recruits, of our people, Kabamba, who were collaborating with us, like the late Brigadier Kanyankoro. Kanyankoro was training, part of the plan, but it was training. But there are others who joined us. And we drove through Kasambia. Then we branched Nabingora, Chenjojo, Kagadi. Then we turned, came to this Chivale, Karuguza, Isimba. We went capturing guns from petrol stations. And by 2 a.m. we entered Chiboga town, where we had some collaborators. And went and camped at a place called Kagobe. This was now the night of the 6th. So the following morning, we were in that Chiboga Hills, those Chiboga Hills, but we had few manpower. We were only about 40 something. The ones who had guns were 27. So the 8th were there. On the 9th, the Tanzanians attacked us. And that's why I'm telling you about God. God used Tumwine to spoil the plan so that we don't capture the guns, and the guns are then recaptured by the Tanzanians because we had no manpower to carry the guns. That's why I'm telling you that really God works in amazing ways. So, although we had some argument with Tumwine, but we said, okay, we shall arrange again. Now, to cut a long story short, on New Year's Day, 1985, 5 years later, we now came back for the same guns. But first of all, I had to reconnoiter. I had to send reconnaissance. Is Mugume Chaga here? Mugume Chaga is not here. I had to send Mugume Chaga to reconnoiter, to check whether those guns were still there. And we had plans. How do we know the guns are there? After 4 years, this was now like 84, 85, 84. Then we made a plan. First we wanted to capture a soldier, put chloroform in him, make him sleep and take him away. Then I called Besige. I said, can we do this? Besige said, no. If you try to use chloroform when you don't know, the person will die. Then we said, okay, so how do we know? So again, how God works. So Mugume Chaga went. These soldiers of UNLA liked drinking alcohol. So they would go to a place called Nkonji and drink and come back walking through the footpath. So the plan was Mugume puts on gunpoint a soldier who is alone and takes and kidnaps him and asks him whether the guns are there or not. So Mugume goes and lies in wait. A lonely soldier comes. Mugume puts him on gunpoint. The person whom Mugume puts on gunpoint is very well known to Mugume. Can you see how God works? So when Mugume puts him at gunpoint, the soldier said, Mugume Tangita. Mugume don't kill him, he recognizes him. They have not seen one another for 4 years. Then Mugume, Tindubachira, the soldier was called Tindubachira. So instead of kidnapping him, Mugume says, all I want to know, are the guns still there? Tindubachira says the guns are still there. So now you go back, they set up a communication system, how they can keep checking. So now that we are sure that the guns were still there, now we come now. Big force now, under Sade. They are attacking, we came with a force of 1,500. But when we got on the way, we started breaking, some soldiers started collapsing and so on. So I decided to cut them into two. A force of 700 under Sare, and I think people like Mugume would have been part of that. 700 all armed to go and attack. This time, we used Magazgawaganda, but Magazgawaganda from Ankole. Muammar Gaddafi had given us land mines, which we are using to blow up the UPC people, the soldiers. But this time we were many with a few. So I told them, I said, what you do, because the soldier may do like what the Tanzanian did, may run into the underground armory and not allow you to go there, even if you have captured the barrack. So I told them, Ekiteko is a size of mesh where they put milk pots. I think Bishop Ruere saw them the other day. It improved his knowledge. So I told them to put the mine in a kiteko, in a mesh of kamba, and suspend it and put it at the mouth of the armory, because you can be on top. It is underground, and then detonate it so that you kill the other person. For me, I thought I didn't know it would kill. I thought it would disorient. So that's what they did. When Sare came, the force was so big, the soldiers of the barracks ran away. This is now New Year's Day, 1985. The guns which God saved on the 6th of February, they are still there. So on New Year's Day, 1985, Sare comes with a big force, puts these soldiers run away. But a soldier goes inside wanting to repeat what the Tanzanians did, But we had arranged, they put the kiteko, pushed it from up with the long stick, and detonated. The poor fellow died there. And we got all the 650 rifles. So you can see now, Tumwine, God used Tumwine really to make us start the war, but not to go too far before we were ready, and kept the guns for us for 1985. This is Tumwine's now being used by God. Secondly, Tumwine, in the reorganization, he was posted in Masindi. So he knew the Masindi barracks very well. And in the plan to attack, we had looked at Masindi. But from the quarter guard to the armory, very far, about 1.5 kilometers, That's why we went for Kabamba instead. But Tumwine knew Masindi. So we planned for it. And Tumwine linked us with a man called Kaka. You know Kaka? Kaka recently was in Iso, he had some issues, but he did a very good job. This Kaka was, I don't know what, he was a civilian in the town of Masindi. So, Tumwine told us there is a contact called Kaka. We went and got him. He came and joined us. I don't remember how he came, but when he came, we found that Kaka knew Masindi. Now, among the people working in the barracks was a grass cutter. This grass cutter knew everything about the barracks. He would sleep there, he would cut during the day and go and sleep outside. Now, Kaka recruited this one. So again, we knew the guns were there from the grass cutter. But the problem was, how were the barracks at night? Because we were going to attack very early in the morning. Were the soldiers ready? So again, I sent him Mugume Chaga, you go. He went. He went, and the soldiers were coming from drinking. He joined them and went and stayed near the barracks until morning. There was no alert. So we came. Masindi was a big success. We had 760 guns from there. This is Tumwine's work, Masindi. So therefore, and Tumwine, you have heard his gifts about music, about all those ones. I'm not very clear myself. But the transformation and the love for the Ankole cows. I remember Tumwine coming to Kisozi with these children. They were young, they were two. There was the boy and the girl and the boy. I think the girl was older. When you came to Kisozi, who were the girl? Who was the girl? Stand up and I see you. The Kisozi one. Oh, that's the one. And then there was a boy who was younger. So, Tumwine and all these other people have joined the socio-economic transformation of that rural area. And I'm sure when you go there, you will see what they have done. And therefore, people who are insulting Tumwine, they are wasting their time, because Tumwine is somebody who has accomplished. Is somebody who has accomplished so much. Now, coming to Bishop Mhima's sermon, which I support, but I would like also to add my small addition. It is not true that before Christianity, Africans, Banyankore, did not believe in the continuation of life. For them, they believed in continuation of life. What do you call it? Perpetuation? Perpetuation of life. They believed in perpetuation of life through the children. When you have children, you are eternal. That was our eternity. So, and I don't think it is correct to dismiss that. Because the Banyankore knew that if you did not have children, watweka, Entreche. Entreche, your lineage is terminated. So therefore, I think the religion should find a way of accommodating that. Posterity through children. Eternity through children. Like Tumwine has not died. He's here. He is abundantly here. He was one, now he has got I don't know how many people there. That's number one. Orzaro is part of eternity. Secondly, the Oktunga. Because why did God put us here on earth? If he wanted us only to be in heaven, why did he bring us here? He brought us here so that we also do something here. Improve here. So, what we do on earth really matters. So I think the church should find a way of encouraging that. Because if we don't do that, if we say, if you are rich, you are going to die. If you are poor, you are going to die. So what do we do now? We should all be poor so that we don't waste time. No. For me, I think the Orzaro, the prosperity through children, the prosperity through wealth creation, the prosperity through, what do you call? Posterity. Posterity. Eternity through development. Eternity through descendants. Eternity through actions. Ebikorwa. We are now here quoting what St. Paul said. You have been quoting St. Paul here. What he wrote to Timothy, what he wrote to that, up to now, 2,000 years. We are quoting what he said and what somebody did. So I think these three must be captured. Eternity through children, eternity through development, eternity through actions, good acts. Then, also, value addition. Because me, once I leave Muhozi, I'm already eternal here. You stand up. You see how eternal I am? I am here. When I die, this person is here. She's called Kokundeka. She's called after her grandmother's name. But why should I only go through Kokundeka and end up in Gehenna? I think that's what you should tell me. Why don't I also take that branch? And while the Kokundekas are continuing here, I also go to heaven. That value addition I totally support. So therefore, what is my little message? You can hear, like for instance, this operation of Kabamba, it was our effort, but with God's direct intervention. Why was Ruyondo at home when I went to look for a car? Suppose he was not there, what would I have done? Maybe I would have robbed a car at gunpoint in Nyendo. That would have prematurely alerted the security forces and so on. But you can see it is God's action which was involved in supporting our actions. Therefore, my advice, always avoid evil. Like resisting Otafuire's evil idea of being a leader who is dishonest. Now, and people who do that are people who want shortcuts. Because I told them, I said, let's hand in all the guns. If we need them, we shall get them. Of course, it costs us a bit of effort to get them back, but we got them back. We got the guns of Kabamba back. We got the guns of Museveni back. We got the guns of Hoima back. We got all these guns. So therefore, my conclusion, really, from watching what I've been going through, is avoid evil, believe in God, and as Tumwine was saying, do the best, do what you like, what they were quoting, God will reward you. Finally, Tumwine was a resilient man because he was injured badly at Bukomero. I had gone out for a few months. When I came back, I found he had been injured. He was injured. He was brought by our network. Dr. Gwasaze, there were people who were looking after him. Dr. Gwasaze, they looked after him until he healed and came back and joined us. He didn't say, because I've been injured, let me stay out. No. He came back and continued and has been continuing. And it's not only him. Sare was injured in both arms. All these men of these people, some of our people were injured. So that spirit of patriotism, of sacrifice, you the young people, you should learn from it. Now, finally, you can see the family now. The other day I was on Patience's function, who were looked at as the Banyang, you know, those Banyankore are fond of. Don't worry about them, Johnny. Don't worry about those fellows, these Ugandans. Because when we were fighting, I mean, especially the Banyankore, for them they have a problem with their mouth. When we were fighting, I mean, they were calling us Everare, that we were Everare. Vagabonds, that we were vagabonds because we had left jobs. A job of Amin, working under Amin, you call it a job. For us, we were despising those jobs. But for them, they thought that to be clever, you had to be under Amin, whether they kill you or what. For us, we decided to fight. But we fought. By the time we came, you heard what they were calling us. We are now no longer Eberare, we are now Moses. We had changed from Eberare, from vagabonds, we had become Moseses, we had become David who killed Goliath. Now, so children, don't think about those fellows who are talking nothing. The Tungama people have got their bad ways of talking. We are Gambok Shankenak. Just, I said something like nothing, like something which doesn't. So I am here to give this little testimony on General Tumwine, dying at 68. He was still young, but he had achieved a lot. And I'm very happy to hear people saying that he died a satisfied man. That's what Enos is the one who was saying that he died a satisfied man. So with these few words, May the Almighty God rest his soul in eternal peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Allow me, sir, inform the distinguished mourners that after the anthems, we shall depart in reverse order. And then, before that, the church will see us out of here. And then the body will fly to Remkoma, where service will start this afternoon. Then tomorrow, the final farewell, church will start at 10 in Remkoma, and the burial will be done there. Those who carried their wreaths, we do apologize that we couldn't have all of them laid, but we shall register them and arrange them at Remkoma to be laid. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Now I hand you back to the church.
Thank you very much. Before we do the recessional hymn, we are going to congregation that gathered here for the offering, and this is the amount that we have brought together: 11,433,700 Uganda shillings and US dollars 221. We want to take this opportunity on behalf of All Saints Cathedral, Kampala, to hand over this money to the family of General Tumwine. May I have a representative, preferably Daudi, to come and receive this money right now as we hand over to the family this contribution. As we prepare for that, we are going to have the anthems, and then later on we'll have our recessional hymn.
Transport has been arranged for those wishing to go to Remkoma, and Colonel Nabo, the UPDF Director of Protocol, is aware about the vans. Please get in touch with him, and you are advised how the vans are going to move and when. Thank you. On behalf of the Minister of Defense and the Veterans Affairs and the entire UPDF fraternity, allow us to register our heartfelt appreciation for the love you have accorded the Tumwine family and the UPDF family, for the support you have given us. May God bless you abundantly, all of you. Band, anthems, please.
Our recessional hymn is on page 19 of the order of service as we conclude this service.
Please take our seats and the body leaves.
The choir will be leading us in the recessional hymn.
And then direction.
Yes. Those that intend to travel to Remkoma, directions are you drive.
Kololo, a place where he's been on very many occasions. We will remember the memories of having him here on these very grounds here as we do independence celebrations, as we do all the other celebrations where General Eli Tumwine has been a key player. We remember him very much so. And of course, now this is the last of those events where he is at Kololo, this time round not as a living being, but his body laying in state just right here, lifeless, as we've all noticed. General Eli Tumwine is a man of very many shades, just as you've heard from the different theologies and of course from the different persons. Very emotional and very many things said about him. As you can see, the church is just concluding it, and of course the final recessional hymn, as you can hear here, as General Tumwine's body will be marched off the grounds by generals here, lieutenant generals and major generals, who are the pallbearers, and the colonels as senior officers of the UPDF, also as the sword bearers, leading the procession and seeing General Tumwine off here today. to this ceremonial Katia, and one thing that is also very amazing about that is the what looks like a mamba here. It's actually called the chui. I'm just been told the car is called the chui, and it's one of those that are produced at the Nakasongola Luero Industries here in Uganda. Now these are the new vessels that of course are replacing the mambas, and so this is typically Ugandan. I'm only thinking that the spirit of General Eli Tumwine must be content and of course very happy that a man who loved Uganda, a nationalist he was, a Pan-Africanist as he was, because we were just told by the doctors that he had even decided not to go out of this country for any treatment and management. He wanted to die in Uganda. So if all this is being done to him, and the cart, the mamba, I've called it mamba, it's called chui, on which is actually being driven, his body is being driven, is Ugandan made. I'm only thinking that the spirit of General Eli Tumwine must be happy and content about that. But of course, as we see, this marks the end of General Eli Tumwine, that the moment his body is driven and taken away out of here to Remitoma in Kazo, where body will be tomorrow. Then of course the rest will be memories about this man called General Eli Tumwine. There have been lots of very emotional eulogies that we've had, especially from friends and family members, and of course another very detailed and long story by His Excellency the President of who General Tumwine was and his contribution. It's been amazing that very many people have tried to find every other reason to hate Tumwine, and from what has been said here, it just means that not so many people knew the other side of Tumwine, especially Tumwine the liberator, Tumwine the soldier, save for the Tumwine that many people have known in his last years or days on earth. But that has been the man. You had His Excellency the President talk about him and how God used him and his contribution, of course, to the struggle. We will continue to remember and of course talk about him as a man who shot the first bullet, which His Excellency the President and the Commander-in-Chief of the forces here says it was not on purpose, it was not planned that way, but it just helped them to kickstart the war that was later concluded with success in 1986. As you can see, General Tumwine's body there being driven away, escorted by Lieutenant Generals and Major Generals of the Uganda People's Defense Forces, and that will be the end of General Eli Tumwine. There will be that very final procession that is normally accorded or done to senior officers of the forces, to persons like General Eli Tumwine, as you can see just right here, as he's being driven and taken away. His body is being driven to Remitoma. Earlier on, of course, we saw the very many things that have been done here and happened here, and of course to thank the Right Reverend Dr. Edward Mulima, the retired Bishop of the Diocese of North Kigezi, who represented the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, Dr. Kazimba Mugalu, who was not here. That's the final procession. As we look to that and as we continue seeing that, these are the very last moments of General Eli Tumwine, as we can all attest and see. General Eli Tumwine will be remembered by comrades in the Uganda People's Defense Forces. He will be remembered by majority of Ugandans. He will be remembered by quite very many people. General Eli Tumwine served in the Parliament of Uganda for over 3.5 decades, and you can really notice that quite a number of people and several people interacted with General Eli Tumwine as legislators and as in different quarters or categories, as you can see. there it happens. The force that he loved so much, the force that he cherished so much, and the force we can say that he contributed into building to why it is. I am only very sure that General Tumwine must have died a very happy man, that from a ragtag army that captured Kampala on the 26th of March and 1980, I beg your pardon, 26th of January 1986, to one of the most vanguard armies on the continent, in the region, and as you can see in the country. He must be a happy man. He's always said it by himself that he's lived a full life. He's achieved what he wanted to achieve, and I think that is very commendable. That is the journey of General Eli Tumwine. As you can see, His Excellency the President here walks to go and condole with the children, with the widow, and with the family of General Eli Tumwine. There he goes to see them, share word with them, to condole with them, commiserate with them, and to share these very final, somber, sad, and very tearful and emotional moments, as we can see. Burial will be tomorrow in Remiko in Kazo, as we will still be there as a Uganda Broadcasting Corporation TV to cover the event and to bring it live to you there. God has just given us a very good weather here. The mood is somber, but of course the weather has also been a very cool one, that it's not rained and it's not been a scorching day. It's just been a very cool day, and the coolness also, to many of us who interpret things spiritually, we could actually also make some spiritual interpretations to this, which I will not competently delve into at this particular time. It's only a morning and sending off General Eli Tumwine, who goes to rest forever. We've had lots of eulogies, of course, here from the different people, and of course the causes of death, as was told to us by his personal doctor, Dr. Omoding, who holds also a very special place in the family of General Eli Tumwine. What more do we have except to say that General Eli Tumwine will be laid to rest tomorrow, as you will continue to see and as you will continue to notice. His Excellency there has had that time to talk to the family, to share with the family, to commiserate with them, to console them, to condole with them, and to share some thoughts with the family, as we can ably see here. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we appreciate and thank you so much for being a part of the coverage here at Kololo Independence Grounds. As you have noticed or seen, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, and also the Chief Mourner for this particular day here today at the Independence Grounds in Kololo, of course, concludes this day and leaves it just like that. The rest of the persons here who will be traveling to Remikoma to go and finally lay General Eli Tumwine. As you can see, lots of things have been said here, and of course they've been very emotional there have been very emotional eulogies from the family, from the friends, from the people who, of course, knew General Eli Tumwine. I just said it that, yes, the General Eli Tumwine that many people are struggling to hate, even in death, may not have known much about Eli Tumwine, but we only think that because this was the only moment and this was the only day that many of these things could be said about General Eli Tumwine. We heard from the family, we heard from the friends, and of course we heard from General Museveni, who at one time taught Eli Tumwine as a very young boy, recruited him, took him for training, cadet training, and of course he mentored him and trained him and brought him into the force, as you can ably see. So we want to just appreciate you as you get to know, General Eli Tumwine's body is just going to be airlifted to Remikoma in Kazo, as you can see, with one of the UPDF choppers just right there. So very shortly, his body will be taken to Kazo district, and of course a burial will be there. We just want to appreciate and thank you so much for being part of today's broadcast here at Kololo Independence Grounds. My name is Jagenda Isemakola Ziksoka. We thank you all, and of course the team that has been here and there this particular day. We only can say fare thee well to General Eli Tumwine, and to say he's only gone before all of us, but this is the way that we will all go for God and our country as well, you can see. Now that's the procession, like I told you earlier on. His body is being taken and of course escorted on the Chui car here. I'm actually calling it a car with all the reservations, but these are some of the machines that are being produced at the Luero Industries in Nakasongola. This is what now replaces the Mamba, and I've just been told it's actually called a Chui. And it's one of those, of course, that they use for such celebrations or such ceremonies when a man of the stature of General Eli Tumwine has died. His body is going to be airlifted in that particular military chopper, as you can see, and of course, that's what I'm doing. Here, just as you can see, like I told you, the pallbearers all at the rank of lieutenant generals and major generals, and the sword bearers are colonels, senior officers of the forces, as you will be able to see. Now this means that it actually marks General Eli Tumwine's journey, the life is lived in Kampala, all the time he's been here, and everything that is done. We are seeing him finally. They've not been moments of making views onto the body, but of course just seeing his casket lay here with his lifeless body, now being taken and of course flown out of here to Remikoma in Kazo district. This particular ground here will remember General Eli Tumwine for the very many years, for the very many things, and of course for his service to this country. We will remember him that many and most of the times, of course, when we celebrated national events, national public holidays, just right here at Kololo, General Eli Tumwine was here. He was the master of ceremonies for the Chancery for very many years, and you remember very well that Mr. General Eli Tumwine was one time dubbed as maybe the minister for meadows, or the captain of meadows, or whatever it is for meadows, because always it was him as the master of ceremonies of the Chancery, reading out the very many lists and names of the medalists on these very grounds. And it has been at this particular ground here today where General Eli Tumwine has had his final journey as he goes. The rest about General Eli Tumwine shall be, I just talked about. The rest about General Eli Tumwine is what we will read in the books. The rest about General Eli Tumwine is what we will continue to hear from the people that grew with him, that worked with him, that served with him, that did many of the things with him, as you can see. Very shortly, General Eli Tumwine's body will be flown out of Kololo here, taken to Remikoma in Kazo district where Barrio will be. General Eli Tumwine, like we said, has been a man of very many shades, and he will be remembered for very many things by, of course, very many people. Those in the performing arts industry will also have something to remember about General Eli Tumwine, because he's been one of them, performed with them, and of course done quite a number of things. And very uniquely, that you notice that General Eli Tumwine also inspired very many other young officers and men in the Uganda People's Defense Forces to get into singing, to start singing, and of course to energize the band that was there. He loved singing, he loved doing it, and to many of us who have been with him on many of these government functions, we will remember very well that there is a particular song that General Eli Tumwine loved, kino kyekisera kyetulina okulwana mu biseera eby'omu maaso tubeere n'emirembe. It's one of his songs that he used to punctuate it whenever he was at any ceremony, he was at any event. So General Eli Tumwine, like we said, it's a man that we will live to remember for everything that he has done to contribute to Uganda's development, Uganda's stability, Uganda's growth, Uganda's socio-economic transformation, which of course His Excellency the President brought out very, very clearly as a man who sought after a socio-economic transformation at a very tender and at a very young age. Tumwine goes to rest. Tumwine joins his ancestors. Tumwine goes the way that all of us will go. And of course, Tumwine joins all the other very many members of the family of the UPDF who went before him. And of course, that's where it is. The count goes on, but of course, every one of us has got their own contributions. Every one of us, of course, has their own talents, their own gifting, their own callings to serving the country, serving humanity, and above God. General Eli Tumwine was a man who accepted Jesus as Lord and Savior, and of course, as you also continue to notice. So just because of that, we want to thank you very much for being part of the broadcast that has happened here at the Kololo Independence Grounds. As we say goodbye and fare thee well to General Eli Tumwine, who we shall never see again. I will just end with a scripture in the Bible where King David lost his son, and when the servants came to him and told him the son has died, David said, give me food to eat, give me oil to nourish myself, let me bathe, give me water to bathe, and let me eat. And everybody was surprised that even after all that, how did he again get into that? But eventually he said, because I know that where my son has gone is where I will go, because he cannot return to me. So the only encouragement that we have is we know that where he has gone is where we will go. He cannot return to us, but us to go to where he has been. To all of you, our viewers on our live stream, we want to appreciate and thank you so much for being part of the broadcast here as we officially send over General Eli Tumwine. It's been a very long day, a very somber day, and of course a day full of eulogies and lots of things that many people did not know about General Eli Tumwine. This marks the end and of course the journey of General Eli Tumwine here. His body is being airlifted to Remi Koma in Kazo, where he will be laid to rest tomorrow at his ancestral home in the western part of Uganda. We want to wish you all the best for tonight, and